Well, let's, I guess we'll take a look at our skills, see if there's anything we want to update. So we have 7 things worth of buying stuff. Is there anything we, like, really were annoyed at previously? And we don't really actually have that much buying power at the moment. Keyword in the first speaker's argument will be shown from the start. Debate scrum was pretty easy. Instantly silences loud voices, effective during mass panic debates. Silences all conversations except those. Reels V points, effective during non-stop mass panic debates. Did we do Psyche Taxi last time? I don't even know. Refute. Makes it easier to push the opponent back during Blade Lock. That was something that annoyed me a bit in Danganronpa 2. Let's grab Power of Life and Death. And equip it. There we go. Alright, now as for our handbook. Let's run over the evidence, get a theory of the case before we jump into this. Alright, so. Right. The victim is Ultimate Tennis Pro Ryoma Hoshi. The victim's body was discovered in the gym. The cause of death was drowning after the victim's body was consumed by piranhas until only the bones remained. So, he was not killed by the piranhas. He was killed by drowning. Drowning must have happened, I'm assuming, prior to the... well, yeah. The drowning clearly happened prior to the events of the magic show. My best guess is he was drowned in the sink in his own ultimate lab, and then the body was transported to the gym, likely via the pool because of the open window, which would have occurred after nighttime had transpired. So yeah. Who did that? Not a clue. Locked handcuffs that were in the water tank for the Underwater Escape Act. Since it was made out of stainless steel, it was difficult to leave any marks, but small scratches were still visible. It seems to have been taken out of the shower room in the Ultimate Tennis Pro's lab. I don't know what this proves. We do know, based on the scratch marks at the sink, if we're assuming he was drowned at the sink, the cuffs would have been on him prior to the drowning. Which makes sense. I mean, obviously it would be easier to drown someone if they were cuffed. What doesn't necessarily make sense is how were the cuffs placed on him in the first place? If he was still, like, alive and well. Like, this is the guy that was able to give Gonta the slip, let's not forget. So, it would be strange to me to find out that there was someone who was able to handcuff him if he was resisting. Which is odd. And we know, because of the scratch marks on the sink, these must have been on him before he died, right? It wasn't someone, like, put the cuffs on the body after the fact as, like, a staging device. Though they would have also been a staging device, because they could have well, I was going to say they could have taken them off. They might not have had the key. Alright, the square glass pane that was at the bottom of the piranha tank, where Ryoma's body had appeared. The other bits of glass were shattered, but this pane remained perfectly square. This is currently my leading theory for how Ryoma... Because clearly the body was in the piranha tank before the trick, but didn't get consumed. I am assuming the body was placed on this glass pane, which was probably like floating on the surface of the piranha tank. And that's why the piranhas didn't consume him until the trick actually occurred. Though the thing is, we know... Well, do we know? Well... No, that doesn't make any sense, because we know that the glass pane, it must sink. Otherwise, his body would have just been on the surface of the... Okay, that's a tricky one, that's for certain. Alright, the crammed piranhas. Like, it's possible maybe it does sink and was just resting on the piranhas. I'm not sure if the piranhas could take that for all that long, but maybe? There's the piranhas that ate Ryoma before the magic show. Angie said it looked like there were more piranhas compared to when she prepared for the show the night before. Insect meet and greets. Okay, so this is our alibis. The night before, Shuichi and some of the others were forced to stay in the ultimate entomologist's lab by Gonta, who was tricked by Kokichi. Himiko and Angie were brought in 5 minutes to 9. Kokichi left at 9. Shuichi and the others were forced to participate in the insect meet and greet until after 11. So, honestly, this is the only set of alibis that might be relevant. The 9 to 11 alibi. And even then, it's not necessarily definitive. Because all of this stuff could have, in theory, happened after 11. Though, do I necessarily believe that Ryoma would have been wandering around that late? That's a bit hard to believe. But yeah, it's clear. The 9 to 11 alibi is what actually matters here. Okay. The water tank that had the piranhas inside it was kept in the Ultimate Magician's lab and was carried over by Kaito, Kibo, Himiko, and Angie. So these 4 would know about the workings of the tank the best, which automatically sort of makes them the most likely culprits in a certain sense. Among them, though, again, Angie and Himiko seem unlikely because the way they would have chosen to frame the murder frames themselves, and that doesn't really seem like something they do. Kibo has a pretty good alibi, so that would make Kaito among these 4 the most likely culprit. Now, it isn't necessarily one of these 4, but these 4 do have the inside loop on how the piranha tank works. So, during the magic show, it was hung over the water escape tank using the controls panel for the stage lights. Only the front side was made out of glass, the other sides are made out of wood. It looks like there was no lid from the start. The window frame of the top window in the gym, it had distinct abrasions as if it was scratched by something. There was the same distinct abrasions on the window frame of the Ultimate Tennis Pro's lab window. The window faced the pool and gym. Like, that almost, to me, seems like maybe there was like a rope between the two. The tough thing, though, is that's like gonna be a hard thing to execute. Like, how do you do that? Wait a minute. Is that why the handcuffs are here? Still, I don't know. That or just 2 ropes, like, climb down one side, climb up the other. That could make sense. I guess the thing is with the gym side, right? We don't have, like, grapple hook technology. So, like, suppose you had the cable from... Yeah, that's a tough thing, right? If you're trying to get from the tennis room to the gym via the pool, right? Because there's 2 ways you can think of it. You can either do, like, zip line across type tech, straight window to window. Or you tie off one window, climb down, tie up the other window, climb up. The problem is, how do you actually execute that? Because we don't have, like, grapple hooks or something, right? So you're not going to be able to just, like, throw a rope up and have it catch, right? That's not going to be reasonable to have happen without specific equipment like a grapple hook. So you're in the tennis room. You climb down using the cable. Now, you're not going to be able to untie the cable from the bottom. So you don't have access to the cable to then get to the gym. And again, even if you did, you're not just being able to toss that up to the window. And we didn't see any evidence of, like, a ladder or something that could have been used in the pool. Which implies to me, whoever did this must have tied off a rope in the gym in advance, knowing that they were then going to use that rope to climb back into the gym via the pool. Could you really have planned it that far in advance, though? Right, because the whole point of why you would do all this in the first place is you're trying to basically create an alibi by the fact that no one was that basically you're using the fact that no one can enter the gym after 10 to create an alibi for yourself. I suppose you could have killed Ryoma sometime between 8 and 10, tied off the rope in the gym before it closed. But no, was anyone in the gym alone? But that's the only way this makes sense. Okay. During the magic show, and when the timer hit 20 seconds, Gonta went up on top of the stage. No one was in the tank during that time. Gonta didn't notice Ryoma inside the tank until after the piranhas were released. Again, this is obvious. Ryoma was clearly being held, like, in the piranha tank somehow. I'm not quite certain exactly how they didn't eat him before he was dropped, but they must have had some way to separate him from the piranhas. So this one's pretty obvious. Behind the stairs that led up to the stage, there was a puddle. The stairs themselves were not wet in certain places. It doesn't seem like the stairs could have gotten wet when the water tank broke. So this is just the trick. Yeah. And honestly, I don't think the mechanics of the trick are really that relevant to this case. Honestly. I think the first, like, couple bits of this case is going to be talking about Himiko's trick. But honestly, to me, that seems to me like it's going to be a, sort of echo back to Danganronpa 1 Case 5, where we started off the first couple issues we resolved was like, oh yeah, by the way, Kyoko's not a ghost. Why are we even talking about this? Like, I don't think the mechanics of the trick are actually relevant to this case, but we're probably going to have to explain it just to move on with our lives. People demand to know. And this is how the trick works. Hatch near the top, Himiko slips out onto the stairs, dries off, then makes her grand reveal. Okay, Kokichi's account I don't think can be trusted in the slightest, but, well, I mean, actually, he is making an alibi claim, and the other person's likely to back him up, so. Immediately after Kokichi left the Ultimate Entomologist Lab at 9 p.m. last night, he was caught by Kurumi in the entrance hall. He stayed with her until 10. After he went to the dorms and returned to the Ultimate Entomologist Lab at 11, he saw the figure of a girl in lingerie wandering around the courtyard a few times. That's probably Miyu, I'm gonna assume. Yeah. And again, this alibi doesn't really do much for me, because I think this whole killing was designed to make it so that an alibi up until 10 seems like it's useful, but it actually doesn't prove anything. Which I guess would technically then make probably Kokichi and Kurumi our top suspects. Because this alibi here seems almost, like, intentionally constructed. However, if I had to pick between the two of them, and I hate saying this, Kurumi is probably the more likely one. Because based on Kokichi's testimony, it seems like she was the one that was pushing for this alibi to last, like, until 10 on the dot. Now, granted, can we trust Kokichi that much? Probably not. But additionally, Kokichi had a better alibi at the ready, right? If he really if his goal was get the alibi from the 9 to 10 hour, he just stays with us in the entomologist lab for a bit of extra time before going to get the stuff, right? Like, that'd be a way better alibi for him. So it doesn't really make sense for him to go find Kurumi to get this alibi. So I guess Kurumi would be jumping up the suspects list then. The last person who saw Ryoma was Gonta. It was around 8 p.m. last night. Miyu also saw Ryoma 30 minutes before that. Okay. That gives us our kind of bounds as to when he could have been killed. Right, he had to have been killed after 8, at the very least. Maki was standing guard in front of her lab last night. She stayed in her dorm room only during nighttime. Okay, yeah. Sensible. The sink in the Ultimate Tennis's lab looks large enough to fill a good amount of water into it. There were small scratches on it as if it was scraped by something. So this is the murder weapon. Found on the ground in the Ultimate Tennis Pro's lab, the tennis net cable was properly set up when Shuichi came to the lab the first time around, but the wire had been taken out. The wire was around 50 feet in length. And this makes it so you can't do the just stretch directly across deal. It's not long enough for that. Like, it's long enough for descend and then reascend. But again, the issue is you don't have a way to ascend back up into the gym unless you've prepped a rope from the gym ahead of time. And I'm not sure if anyone had the time to do that. right? As far as we're aware, the last people in the gym would have been Maki, or not Maki, sorry, Himiko and Angie as a pair. And obviously, if anyone was there, being there as a pair kind of precludes you from setting up anything into it. Well, I say that, but didn't stop Kaede, so that doesn't necessarily prove anything. And I guess there is... Okay, I guess here's the thing, though. They leave the gym at 8:55. So, that's oddly specific, right? The fact that that just barely doesn't line up with some of the other alibis kind of... It gets me a little suspicious. Like we got... Anyways, though. So that does give us an hour and 5 minutes where we don't really know who was in the gym, right? Anyone without an alibi could have been in the gym during that time, in theory. So that actually helps the rope theory quite a bit, which would then give us, like, our big suspects then would be the people who don't have the alibis from 8:55 to 9, which technically would still include Kurumi and to a lesser degree Kokochi, because we know where he's coming from, and that's not really close to the gym. I mean, it's a bit of a stretch to say that Kurumi, like, somehow, like, snuck into the gym, tied off the rope to climb up from the pool later, and then left and ran into Kokichi within 5 minutes. But if anyone's efficient enough to do that, it is probably her. Aside from that, your obvious other suspects during that time frame would have been Kaito. Who else doesn't have an alibi? Basically, Kaito and Miyu would be the other big ones. And again, Maki as well. So that's probably our 4 suspects then. Kaito, Maki, Kurumi, and Miyu. Maybe Kokichi, but I doubt it. Just because the logistics of him... Like, Kurumi is already a stretch. Kokichi is, like, breaking the laws of physics to say he could have done all that in 5 minutes, knowing where he was coming from. Okay, anyways. We have a black piece of fabric. A piece of fabric that was floating in the pool. At first glance, it looks like trash. I have no way to know how this is relevant. Entering the pool is prohibited during nighttime. Well, technically, no, entering the pool isn't prohibited. Swimming is prohibited, technically. Let's keep that in mind. It's swimming that is prohibited, which I think is being generalized here of, like, because I do believe it was clarified, like, touch the water during nighttime, you're done. But it's important to note, being in the pool room itself is not prohibited. It is only if you enter the pool. Okay. So. Alright, I'm glad we did this. I think I've got a better idea of the case. Now that we've gone through this. I think we've narrowed down to like 4, maybe 5 suspects. And I guess we'll see where this goes. I think I've got a pretty good theory of the case going into this. I mean, it's no Danganronpa 2 Case 3, but I feel alright. I don't feel lost.
Now then, let's begin with the basic explanation of the class trial. During the trial, you'll present your arguments for who the culprit is, and vote for who done it. Vote correctly, and only the blackened will be punished. But if you pick the wrong person...
Thank you, Heather. I will try my best here.
I'll punish everyone besides the blackened, and that person will graduate from this academy. Also, refusing to vote will result in your death, so you better vote for someone.
I wonder when that rule is going to become relevant. Because it's a weird thing to add now in the 3rd game in the series.
Now, let's get this crazy awesome to the max trial underway!
I think we all know who the most suspicious one is. It's...
Let's combine our power and work together, everyone!
The person who's most suspicious is...
Now lend me your energy, everyone, so we can catch the culprit!
Doing God's work here, Tenko. Keep interrupting him.
Because the murder happened during the magic show, the culprit can only be...
Hey-ya! I'm in top form today!
Okay, if you're gonna filibuster, please say something relevant so you can, like, justify your filibustering.
Tenko, Why are you interrupting me? We can't have a good trial if you talk over me.
Huh? I'm not interrupting you. Whatever you have to say is probably worthless anyway, because all males want to talk about is S.E. Himiko seems suspicious.
Angie, you're betraying Himiko?
Yeah? Hey! Angie, how can you accuse
I
Himiko?
did not expect Angie to be the one to accuse her.
Aren't you her friend? I'm just telling you what Atua is telling me. He is using his divine knowledge to show us the way to survive. You should thank him, lest he pour his holy wrath upon you all.
Okay.
Screw Atua! That guy's got nothing on me. I'll protect Himiko!
But it does point to Himiko being the most suspicious.
Ryoma died during Himiko's magic show.
His body appearing in the water tank leads one to think the escape trick played a part. It's only natural we suspect Himiko. She was the one performing the trick.
Well, yes, but it's too obvious, right? This is clearly someone trying to frame Himiko, and therefore it's clearly not Himiko. And you're falling for the obvious play here, right? And the reason we know this for sure is because the piranhas were not the cause of death. Drowning was the cause of death. And since drowning was the cause of death, it means the murder happened at a time other than the magic show. So the magic show was not actually used to murder him, and if that's the case, if he was died in some other way beforehand, why the heck would Himiko frame herself by then placing him in the magic show? Right, this is the logical reasoning of why it's almost certainly is not Himiko.
No, that's wrong. The underwater escape wasn't a trick. It was magic.
It's not the part you need to deny. You gotta tell us you're not the culprit.
I mean, I just noticed this, like, interior of his coat has, like, stars and nebulas and such. That's cool.
Magic, huh? That's so cool. What a mysterious miracle. Now, did you kill Ryoma, Himiko? Atua will hear your confession. Stop it! There's no way any of that is true!
It's true, though. Himiko used the underwater escape trick to kill Ryoma. But I still don't have a clue how Himiko did the trick.
There's no trick. That really was magic.
I mean, I'm gonna be so sad exposing Himiko's trick, though. Like,
No, maybe it really was magic.
Oh, stop it. If you don't
Hello,
reveal
welcome.
your trick now, then we'll vote you as the culprit.
Stop picking on Himiko! A cute, tiny flower like her couldn't kill anyone. I get that you want to defend her, but that might be a bit much.
as I expected, the others suspect Himiko. But I have my doubts. I can't let this case get derailed by misunderstandings. I'm the ultimate detective, so it's up to me. Okay, it's gonna be the water tank
Atua has
trick.
blessed me with an epiphany.
Or,
The
yeah.
culprit used the underwater escape trick to pull off a sneaky switcheroo with Ryoma.
After that, the time ran out. The tank above Ryoma opened and piranhas came pouring out.
Ah, and he was eaten alive!
Eaten to bone by piranhas. Savage way to go.
No, that's wrong. The underwater escape was no trick, it's magic.
Okay,
I heard you the first time, Titless. No one cares.
But what am I contradicting here? Ryo's body was eaten by the piranhas that fell into the tank. That is a fact, but that doesn't mean it was the cause. Oh, we're doing this first.
Atua
Okay.
has blessed me with an
Gotcha.
epiphany. The culprit
So it's
used
the Monokuma file,
underwater
then.
escape trick to pull
Yeah,
off a
okay.
sneaky switcheroo with Ryoma.
After that, the time ran out. The tank above Ryoma opened and piranhas came pouring out.
Well, they did, yes.
Ah, and he was eaten
It was not eaten alive. Okay.
That That's wrong!
No, Ryoma's death was not caused by the piranhas.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Following my train of logic here, actually. Like, cause of death was not the piranhas, therefore death happened early, therefore the body didn't have a reason to be placed here, therefore why would Himiko frame herself? Good job, Shuichi.
The Monokuma file indicates the cause of death is drowning.
So it wasn't the piranhas then. He was drowned.
Ooh, I see. I haven't checked the Monokuma file yet, so that's news to me.
Why?
You lying little brat! Telling lies is what turns you into a degenerate male.
So what? Ryoma drowned, Himiko changed places with him, and then the piranhas ate him, right?
Well, yeah, but you don't, the timing of things, right? There was not enough time, well, he didn't drown during the trick itself. So why, if he died early, why would she place the body in the trick that would obviously frame her?
No, Himiko only had 60 seconds to escape from the tank. Even if they changed places at the start of the show, that's insufficient time to drown someone.
I technically you probably could drown within 60 seconds, but...
If that is the case, then when did he drown?
When did Ryoma drown? It was obviously... the piranhas drowned. That was before the show even started.
That's it! Ryoma was already drowned before the show started. Agreed.
Frame yourself as a 500 IQ move, nobody would expect it. I suppose. I don't know. Seems a bit of a risky play. But... Well, I guess the other issue, though, if you frame yourself, right, the reason why we end up, you know, these framing jobs don't end up working in the end, and we end up getting someone else, is because, you know, there's evidence of the framing, and then there's, like, actual evidence that then points to the real person. If you frame yourself, then you've just added more evidence on top of evidence against you. Right? So once we get to the real evidence, it's not like, oh, you must have been framed. It's like, oh, and also this adds up with that. I guess you can make it self-contradictory, but still. Not how I would play the game.
Before being eaten by the piranhas, he made no attempt to escape the water. To be precise, he made no movements whatsoever. Yes, by that point, he had already joined the ranks of the dead.
Could that mean his body was hidden until the culprit made it appear in the tank?
Hidden? Where?
The culprit would have had to hide the body near the tank, and then show it during the act.
I guess the other issue with framing yourself in a Danganronpa context specifically is someone has to be convicted, right? This isn't like innocent until proven guilty sort of standard. It is like we just need to convict whoever seems to be the most likely. So if you frame yourself and just put a whole bunch of evidence against yourself and there's no evidence against anyone else, even if the evidence against yourself turns out to be a little suspect, like if there's no alternative, we're still voting for you, probably. So yeah.
Easier said than done.
Was there a place on stage where the culprit could have hid the body? Oh wait, Himiko should know since she performed the underwater escape trick.
Himiko, why won't you just explain it to us?
'Cause it's magic.
Yep, we're on the trial.
And no, maybe it really was magic.
How much have you missed? Oh, we only just started the trial. We've only done like one non-stop debate so far. Obviously missed the entire investigation.
Shut up.
And Maki is no nonsense.
Himiko is committed to her act, but those who deal in dreams are oft liars.
Why is everyone still picking on Himiko? You're all worse than a drunk dad's ramblings.
You know, I'm starting to see where your man-hatred comes from. Okay, good to know, Tenko.
We should let him vent. After all, it's tough being the man of the house.
Man, We gotta figure out how the trick works to find where the body was hidden.
But Himiko does not wish to tell us how she performed her act.
Then let's work together to reveal the secret behind Himiko's trick!
So, not real magic?
No, it was real magic.
Hazard was Kaito Momoto's sidekick. I mean, kind of feel like that was just my title. Like he needed to save face. He had to be the one in charge. Like realistically, like, come on, Ultimate Detective here.
Magic. Magic. Magic.
Hey, no. Power of hypnotic suggestion is not magic either. That's just hacking the brain.
Oh no! It's Himiko's curse! Her curses are really powerful! Aren't incantations usually more, complicated than that?
Anyway, we first need to determine how Himiko performed the trick. We can't figure that out. This case is going nowhere. Okay, well, this is now we get to expose Himiko. It's gonna do the water tank trick.
How did Himiko escape the water tank?
Maybe she just climbed out and no one noticed.
It actually is
she
that simple.
definitely would have been caught.
Well,
Perhaps
not quite
the
that simple.
mechanism was set up on the stage.
That'd be a
The
contradiction.
curtain covering the tank was certainly suspicious.
What about that square pane of glass we found in the tank?
Maybe the tank had a secret hatch.
Agreed. There actually is one. Good job, Maki. I knew I like you. Yeah, you got a good head on your shoulders there, Maki.
Maki is correct. There was an escape hatch on that tank.
I see. So it did have one.
That's right. I discovered a similar tank in Himiko's lab. There was a panel on the side that could open. That was her escape.
Mind over strength!
What? What's your argument? Like, just because it had hatch doesn't mean she used it?
Wrong, Shuichi.
How?
What do you mean?
And you don't even know why you're wrong either. Typical degenerate male.
Well, if I thought I was wrong, I wouldn't have posed the theory in the first place, so.
I'll smash in your face with my fists of hot burning steel!
This is a non-combat sport? I would prefer rhetoric, please. Okay, how does this work again? Wet staircase is definitely going to be what we need.
Being open
Okay, right.
anything to do with Himiko's escape. She didn't use an escape hatch.
Your evidence?
I know she didn't do that. And now, I'm gonna punch you.
No, don't. Ow. She punched me.
Wait a second. Before you punch me, what makes you so sure she didn't?
Because if she escaped from a hatch in the tank,
Oh,
the water
I
would have
missed.
gushed out with her.
Why can I
There would
shoot?
have been water everywhere.
Well, there kind of was, in a certain sense.
That wouldn't be magical at all. The whole trick would be ruined. With that out of the way, I'm gonna punch you.
Could you not? It's true that if she opened the tank, water would come rushing out. That's exactly why there was a second step to this trick. If I figure out why the hatch was in that exact spot, I'll know the answer. Oh, maybe the water is like...
If she escaped from a hatch in the tank,
the stairs-
water would have gushed out with her.
Yeah.
There would have been water everywhere.
Sorta.
I'll cut
In a
through your
sense.
words.
That's why it's so high up. And maybe the stairs... Oh, maybe they absorb water.
There was a reason the room wasn't flooded with water. The staircase that was attached to the water tank. Try to remember how the staircase was positioned. It was aligned perfectly with the tank's escape hatch. Meaning, The water tank was connected to the inside of the staircase.
Yeah, there we go. And then she left through the stairs.
Inside staircase? His body was in stairs?
No.
Knowing that, it's clear how Himiko made her escape from underwater. There was a curtain covering the tank during the performance, allowing Himiko to enter the staircase from the hatch undetected. Any water that spilled out would have simply funneled into the staircase.
Right.
So how do you get out from the staircase?
There's a door.
The staircase also has an escape hatch, one facing away from us. It's placed so that the water would not drain from the staircase.
In which case, a person could exit and leave water inside the staircase.
Precisely.
However, that person would be soaked, meaning that some trace should be left.
That would explain why there was a puddle around the stairs.
So when Himiko came out from the stairs, her wet clothes dripped water all over.
Ha, bitch! Caught you soaking wet and red-handed!
Miko's adherence to being magic despite everyone's life in danger makes you dislike her. Well, I can get that. Simultaneously, though, I do think it's kind of endearing. Right? I mean, she's the ultimate magician. You think the ultimate magician would reveal her tricks? It's a dedication to the craft that you gotta respect.
Judging from Himiko's reaction, you hit it right on the bullseye.
But Himiko's clothes should have been wet when she left the water tank.
Behold, the magnificent underwater escape.
Her clothes were definitely not wet.
We all have multiple identical sets of clothes.
Of course. That's because my underwater escape wasn't a trick. It was magic.
No, magic had nothing to do with why her clothes weren't wet. She changed the uniform. We all have multiple.
That's it! It's because she changed her uniform.
Wouldn't her hair still been wet, though?
The dormitory is stocked with uniforms. Did you hide one behind the stage in advance?
I remember seeing Himiko go to the gym this morning, carrying a uniform and a towel.
Oh.
Ah! Why would you say that?
I see. She had a towel too. She may not have had time to fully dry her hair. But her short hair and hat ensured we were none the wiser.
The hat would help with that. That's clever, actually. Yeah.
Himiko can't get wet, because her body repels water.
Says who?
Huh? Like a duck?
Himiko, come on. Give it up already.
Fine. You win.
Oh.
It's just like you said. The water tank and staircase both have mechanisms.
So I was correct.
But that doesn't mean I used them. I didn't need them, because I used my magic.
Sure you did. Okay, now can we move on?
Again with the magic crap. Were you dropped on your head as a kid?
Now that we understand how the trick was performed, let us move on.
Yes, let us proceed. Where did the culprit hide Ryoma's body? From our discussion earlier, his body could have been in the space inside the staircase.
I guess that's possible, but I don't think that's likely.
But that's where Himiko would escape from, right?
And Ryoma's a small dude. Like, and Himiko's pretty small herself, so like...
So Himiko went in the stairs with the body? What kind of kinky shit is she into?
That seems unlikely. There isn't enough space for 2 people to fit in there.
Yeah, the stairs are pretty cramped. It'd be hard to fit even Ryoma and Himiko in there.
I don't disagree with the point. To be clear, I don't think Ryoma's body was hidden in the stairs. I will say that the point would be a lot better if this case wasn't involving, like, the two smallest people in the entire cast.
Who says they went in together? She could have made the switch as she was leaving the tank.
Oh, no, but,
At the same time, she could have pulled out the body from inside the stairs.
this is where Gonta's testimony comes in.
That way, she'd have room to put herself in there. See how... I think that explains how Himiko changed places with Ryoma's body.
Man, Angie's going hard against her latest convert. Jeez. Thought there'd be some, like, loyalty, but...
Wait a minute! Why did you automatically assume it was Himiko?
Who else but Himiko could have done it?
Angie, you spent more time with Himiko than any of us, so why are you accusing her?
You may think you're protecting Himiko, but what if she really is the culprit? We'll all die, and it will be all your fault. Atua will lose precious devotees.
When technically Atua... If we assume that Himiko is the culprit, technically Atua loses the same amount of devotees, regardless of if Himiko is executed or the rest of us, because there's only two, Angie and Himiko. So...
Are you okay with that, Tenko?
I'm totally fine with that.
What?
I don't care what anyone says. Himiko would never murder someone. That's what I believe more than anything. I want to believe in her, no matter what. If I can't do that, then I'd rather just die.
Look, I know the feeling, but you gotta go where the truth takes you. We can follow the evidence here, not our hearts. That being said, I do not think the evidence will ultimately lead to Himiko's execution, so hang tight, Tenka. We got you.
So until this body takes its final breath, I'm gonna keep believing in Himiko.
Alright, what do we got here? Gonta's account is definitely going to be the evidence here.
The only one who could have switched out Ryoma's body is Himiko herself.
When Himiko was escaping the tank, she dragged out the body hidden in the stairs.
I'm not sure if that's our
Simply
contradiction.
switched places with it.
Are you telling me you saw that happen?
No one could have seen that. It would have occurred in the middle of the show, when the tank was covered with a curtain.
So basically, no one saw anything.
Okay, this is what we're going to contradict. I do kind of want
I
to
didn't
see
do
this
it, I swear.
dialogue through, though.
Ryoma's corpse wasn't in the staircase.
Quit lying, you donkey-lipped con artist! She's not lying! She's not a con artist, and she doesn't have donkey lips!
The presentation of the dialogue, I really appreciate it. It just has a little bit of an extra character cinematically here. It is possible that Himiko and Ryoma switched places in the water, but I feel like I'm forgetting an important point. So, I think, and technically we have two ways we could approach this. We could either agree that Himiko's not lying by virtue of Gonta's account, or we can just directly contradict
The only one who could
Kichi
have
with
switched
Gonta's
out
account,
Ryoma's
which I think
body
is the right call
is
here.
Himiko herself.
Because
When
it's a more
Himiko
direct
was
contradiction.
escaping the tank, she dragged out the body hidden in the stairs. And simply switched places with it.
Are you telling me you saw that happen?
I like her font here.
No one could have seen that. It would have occurred in the middle of the show, when the tank was covered with a curtain.
So basically, no one saw anything.
Not correct.
That's wrong!
Maybe the show was designed so no one would see anything, but someone did. Someone who doesn't quite understand the
Someone did see
decorum and
inside
norms
the
of
tank.
magic shows.
It was Gonta. Gonta had climbed onto the stage and was looking into the tank from above. Isn't that right, Gonta?
Yeah, Gonta saw down into tank, but saw no one in there.
No one was in there?
Yeah, no one. Guess that clue no good, huh?
No, it's pretty good.
No, that's actually a great clue. Because
Absence of evidence is evidence of absence in this particular case.
if Ryoma's body was hidden inside the staircase, Himiko would have had to pull him out before she went inside. There certainly wasn't enough room in the staircase for both of them. But that means, if the tank was empty when Gonta looked, Ryoma's body must not have been hidden in the staircase.
What if they squeezed into that space with Ryoma's body to avoid getting caught?
She had no need to worry about us witnessing her at that point. For the entire stage was hidden behind a curtain. To all but Gonta, anyway.
Then the culprit never would have considered hiding inside the staircase with the body. Entering the staircase after moving the body is much faster, and seems more rational too.
Right. Additionally, she has to have time to perform the entire rest of the trick, right? Like, she can't wait to, like, just throw Ryoma in at the last second, because she needs time to exit the stairs, dry off, change clothes. Like, that's why she has the 60 seconds timer on the trick in the first place, I imagine.
Then Ryoma's body wasn't hidden in the stairs?
Someone better say where the fucking body was hidden, or I'm gonna start cutting throats!
Where is Ryoma's body hidden? Need to pin that down. It's clear that it was not inside the staircase, but where? Probably Piranha Tank, I'm assuming.
Where were you hiding Ryoma's body?
It wasn't really in the stairs, was it?
After all, there was only enough space for Himiko.
Okay. We already established
Well,
that, yes.
how about behind the curtain?
If there was a way to enter the tank from there, then it would be plausible.
There's not.
Or maybe the body was in the tank all along, but we just couldn't see it.
We would have seen it.
Impossible. You'd need top-notch visual effects to pull that off.
And what of the tank containing the piranhas?
No way! If you put a body in there, the piranhas would have eaten it way before we saw it.
Not
But
wrong.
if the body and piranhas were separated,
Okay, this is our thing. We use the...
then it wouldn't have been
Square glass
devoured,
panel.
correct?
Okay. Why was he not eaten by the piranhas even though he was in the same tank? I'm actually kind of surprised. Like, I'm surprised we're jumping straight to he was in the tank. Like, there was one piece of evidence. Yeah, I know.
Where were you hiding Ryoma's body?
I feel like that hint is
It
too
wasn't
much.
really in the stairs,
Because
was
in theory, you, as a player here, you're
After
supposed to
all,
be
there was
figuring
only
out
enough space for Himiko.
not just how was the body in the tank, but like where was it
How about
in the
behind
first place?
curtain?
And the hint's just
If there
giving,
was a
like,
way
I already
to
knew it
enter
was
the
in the
tank
piranha
from
tank,
there,
but the hint giving that away, I
then
think, is a bit
it would
much
be
in this
plausible.
case.
Or maybe the body was in the tank all along, but we just couldn't see it.
Impossible. You'd need top-notch visual effects to pull that off.
And what of the tank containing the piranhas?
No way! If you put a body in there, the piranhas would have eaten it way before we saw it.
But if the body and piranhas were separated,
They
I
were?
agree.
Kyo's hypothesis is correct. The body and the piranhas were separated. This was accomplished using the square glass pane found in the tank.
Just as I thought. Using that glass pane as a divider, a safe space could be created in the tank.
Holding it at the diagonal. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
It is in such a space that the body could be stored, separated from the piranhas.
Then that means Ryoma's body was hidden in the piranha tank the whole time!
So Ryoma's body fell into the water tank with the piranhas?
Gonta knew it!
You did?
What is it, Gonta?
Gonta was above stage when piranhas fall.
Right.
That's why Gonta sees something no one else could. when piranhas fell, going to see some big thing fall into water tank with them.
Right when the timer hit 0, the buzzer went off. And then... the bottom of the suspended tank swung open in the murky water and shadowy shapes inside. Fell straight into the water tank Himiko was swimming in. Huh?
You know, now that going to think about it, going to maybe see Ryoma's body.
When the piranhas dropped from the tank, I thought I saw something bigger drop as well.
Alright, everyone wanted... now that I've proved how things happen, everyone wants to get on board after the fact. Thanks.
The water tank on the bottom is made completely out of glass, correct? You can see what is happening through the glass. Can you really hide a body in the tank?
Is it made of glass? I thought...
Even in murky water, a dead body would still be visible in a glass tank.
the piranhas were really like... the piranhas were blocking the view.
Unless a certain something was used to obscure the body.
Piranhas.
A certain something?
We all agree that the glass pane was used to separate the body from the piranhas, correct? Well, that method has the added benefit of hiding the body from view.
Yeah? How could you hide a body like that?
How was the culprit able to conceal the body in the piranha tank? Oh, geez, okay. Because... oh, wait, no, I was trying to scroll. There's a trick to the piranha tank. We were expecting you to provide us with an... okay, sorry, I was trying to...
wrong.
I was doing the right-click scroll thing. Sorry, it's left-click scroll on this menu. My mistake. Okay, what we want here actually is the crammed piranhas.
This is it.
They really...
It was the piranhas.
why'd they mess with the UI so
Piranhas were
much?
obscuring the body.
And the controls. Like, they were working fine in the other games. Okay.
Huh? The piranhas?
That's right. Remember what Angie said during the investigation?
I noticed it right as the show started. I feel like there are way more piranhas today than yesterday when we were preparing.
They increased that significantly? I didn't know piranhas fuck like rabbits.
It seemed that way, but it wasn't that the actual number of piranhas increased. The glass pane divided the tank nearly in half, right?
Which would appear to double the number of piranhas.
The piranhas got crowded together, making it look like there were more of them.
The more densely the piranhas are packed, the harder it is to see past them.
Because of that, it was difficult to see the body hidden in the tank.
That glass pane was the lid from the piranha tank.
Hmm.
It was really easy to detach that lid, so it's no wonder they used it as a divider.
Makes sense.
Gee, thanks for telling us that useless detail.
What the heck are you saying? That detail was super useful! Sure, the lid looks a little big, but if you set it diagonally, it would fit perfectly.
Right, that is how I did not... Yep, diagonals.
Nice job, Himiko! Your explanation was awesome!
With this much evidence, it seems like the body was definitely in the piranha tank.
Agreed.
Congrats, Himiko! Now there should be no reason for anyone to suspect you.
Well, I mean, technically, Himiko could have still put the body in the piranha tank. I just don't think it makes sense motive-wise. At this point, the guy is already dead. Why would you then frame yourself?
Really?
Yeah, because if you didn't switch places with the body, then you couldn't have killed him.
It only means we now have other suspects. You are not cleared of suspicion just yet.
Okay, but still, that's way better!
That's wonderful news, Himiko! Atua is happy for you.
Apologize, Angie! You and your Atua better tell Himiko you're sorry right now!
Atua is sleeping. He went to bed angry because you all doubted him.
Well, rightfully so.
What a petty-ass god!
Well, no, they set that up without losing a finger. I mean, it probably wouldn't be that hard. Like, you just gotta be careful. Like, slide the glass in from, like, the edge or something, and then just, like, kind of push it. I could see it happen. Slide it in on the edge, you know?
No, it's okay. We shouldn't be mad at Angie. We should be mad at this class trial, at this killing game.
Oh, Himiko! Bless your sweet, kind heart!
That's what Atua said anyway.
What?
It's too bad that the handsome god went to bed angry, though.
Himiko's still brainwashed! But I'm not giving up just yet. This is gonna be a breeze.